The courtroom is silent, the tension almost unbearable. Janelle rises, her voice trembling yet fierce, pointing directly at David. He's been rewriting history, manipulating everyone, even the kids. Gasps ripple through the room as the family turns to look, eyes wide, mouths slightly open, unable to believe what they're hearing. Christine's husband, usually calm and collected, shifts uncomfortably, a bead of sweat running down his temple. This is the moment everything changes. As the judge glares at David, demanding an explanation, Janelle drops a folder thick with old emails, letters, and financial records onto the bench. "This proves everything," she says. The papers scatter, and for the first time, the perfect image of control David projected begins to crack. The family holds its collective breath, the air heavy with disbelief and fear of what's coming next. Could this be the day the family finally sees the truth? Or will David manage to twist the story once again? Comment below. Do you think David has been controlling the family this whole time? Or is Janelle overreacting? The morning sunlight filters through the tall courtroom windows, casting long shadows across the polished wooden benches. The family files in, faces a mixture of determination and apprehension. Kody sits silently, his hands clasped tightly in front of him, while Robyn fidgets nervously, her eyes darting between Janelle and David. Christine's husband enters last, scanning the room as if already strategizing, lips pursed in his familiar, calculated expression. Janelle steps forward, holding the thick folder she dropped earlier in the hook. Her hands shake slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of truth she's about to confront. The murmurs of the courtroom fade as the judge clears his throat, eyes sharp, commanding attention. "I am here to set the record straight," Janelle begins, voice firm despite the tremor. "David has been controlling family decisions, rewriting events in his favor, and manipulating everyone, including my own children. I can no longer stand by." David's jaw tightens. He opens his mouth to reply, but the judge raises a hand. "One person speaks at a time," he warns, his voice cutting through the tension. Christine steps in cautiously, offering support to Janelle. "Your Honor, if I may," she says. "There are emails, letters, and even financial records that show a pattern of manipulation. It's not just Janelle's opinion, it's documented." The courtroom leans in closer. The air grows heavier as each family member exchanges glances. Everyone is holding secrets, and now, one by one, those secrets are about to be exposed. The family is on the edge of a breaking point, and the first sparks of chaos are about to ignite. Flashbacks reveal David's subtle interventions over the past months, steering conversations, isolating certain family members, whispering doubts into their ears. Janelle had sensed it, but seeing the emails laid bare confirms her worst fears. David clears his throat, voice steady but tense. "This is all blown out of proportion," he says, glancing at each family member. "People are reading into things that aren't there." But Janelle's eyes blaze. "This isn't interpretation. This is reality. And the children know it too." The judge signals for the first witness, one of the older children who has witnessed David's behavior firsthand. As the child takes the stand, their nervous glance toward Janelle is filled with unspoken questions. Can I tell the truth? Will it hurt anyone? The first testimony begins, and tension ripples through the courtroom like an electric current. Could one child's words be the match that ignites the family feud into full-blown conflict? The courtroom is quiet, almost oppressively so. Sunlight streams through the tall windows, casting long, sharp shadows across the polished wooden floors. The air smells faintly of polished wood, old books, and nervous anticipation. Family members enter one by one, each carrying their own mixture of dread, frustration, and determination. Kody sits at the center, hands clasped tightly on the bench before him, staring straight ahead with the calm, calculated composure he's always maintained. Robyn sits nearby, fidgeting, her hands twisting a handkerchief, her eyes darting between Janelle and David. Christine and her husband arrive together, their expressions neutral, but eyes sharp, calculating. At the far end, Janelle steps forward, holding the thick folder she's carried in silence until now. She pauses, her breath hitching slightly, not from fear, but from the enormity of what she's about to say. Every eye in the courtroom turns toward her. This is not just a confrontation. This is a reckoning. "I am here to set the record straight," Janelle begins, her voice steady despite the tremor underneath. "David has been controlling family decisions, rewriting events in his favor, and manipulating everyone, including my own children. I can no longer remain silent." The judge's gavel hits the desk, demanding attention. "Order in the courtroom," he says sharply. One person speaks at a time. His eyes flick to David, who shifts uneasily under the scrutiny. The usually composed man is tense, his jaw tight, a bead of sweat sliding down his temple. He opens his mouth to respond, but the gavel cuts him off. Christine leans forward slightly. "Your Honor, if I may?" she says. Her voice is calm, persuasive, but carries a subtle edge that makes the courtroom lean in closer. There are emails, letters, and even financial records that show a pattern of manipulation. This is not just Janelle's perception. There is evidence. David swallows hard, glancing around the room as if seeking an escape. But there is none. The court's attention is locked, focused entirely on him. Kody shifts slightly in his seat, catching Robyn's gaze. She flinches at the unspoken tension, knowing the storm about to hit their family. The family is teetering on the edge, and no one knows which way it will fall. Flashbacks ripple through Janelle's mind. She recalls the subtle moments, whispered doubts David planted in her children's ears, offhand comments designed to make her question her own decisions, the way he nudged others to comply without ever being direct. The emails in her folder capture every insidious move, time-stamped, precise, undeniable. This is not conjecture. This is manipulation meticulously documented over months. The judge motions to the court clerk, who begins distributing copies of the evidence to each relevant party. Janelle sets her folder on the bench, opening it with deliberate care. The sound of the papers rustling is louder than she expected in the tense silence. She flips to the first email. "This," she says, pointing to the screen of her laptop connected to the courtroom display, "shows David coaching my children on how to respond during interviews about family matters. He's been rewriting our history for months, if not years." A murmur rises from the back benches. The children exchange glances, their eyes wide with fear and disbelief. One of the younger children clasps their hands together, biting their lip, while an older one leans forward, frowning in confusion. David clears his throat, voice steady but strained. "This is being blown completely out of proportion," he says, his eyes darting around. "People are reading into things that simply aren't there. Misinterpretations happen." Janelle's eyes flare. This isn't interpretation. This is reality. And the children know it too. The judge leans forward, signaling for order. "We will hear testimony from the witnesses, one at a time. Let's begin with the first child who has observed these interactions." The older child rises slowly, every movement careful, deliberate. They take the stand, glancing nervously at Janelle, then David, then the judge. Their voice is small at first, but grows steadier as they speak. I remember times when Dad would tell us not to listen to Mom, or to only answer questions a certain way," the child says, voice wavering. "Sometimes I didn't understand why, but I knew it made Mom upset. I felt confused." A collective gasp sweeps through the room. Kody shifts uncomfortably. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth, and David's face flushes. The calm, confident demeanor he projects cracks just enough for everyone to notice. The courtroom is electric, tension mounting with every word. The judge motions for a break. Janelle steps back, breathing deeply, as the gravity of what has been said begins to sink in. The children whisper to each other softly, their eyes wide, processing the turmoil they've just voiced. Christine approaches Janelle, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You're doing the right thing," she murmurs. As the courtroom reconvenes, the focus shifts to financial records. The judge calls for the first exhibit, a series of bank statements and emails detailing transactions that were manipulated or concealed. The room grows still as the files are displayed on a large screen. "Here," Janelle says, pointing to one document. You can see accounts that were redirected without proper disclosure. This is not merely bookkeeping, this is control. Hiding information, steering decisions for personal benefit. David leans back, pinching the bridge of his nose. His voice tight, almost breaking, he protests. These are normal adjustments, nothing more. There's no manipulation, only standard family management. But the proof is there. The evidence is undeniable. The children look at David with a mixture of shock and betrayal. Some shift uncomfortably in their seats, struggling with the realization that the one they trusted may have been guiding them for his own purposes. Every secret David kept is now exposed, and the family's carefully maintained image begins to crumble. Flashbacks continue to punctuate the narration. Quiet whispers in bedrooms, subtle nudges in conversation, the way he subtly isolated family members from one another. Each memory reinforces Janelle's case, building an invisible yet unshakable wall around the truth she's presenting. The courtroom watches as tensions reach a breaking point. David finally speaks, voice sharp, trying to regain control. This is being twisted to fit a narrative. I have always acted in the family's best interest. Janelle steps closer, eyes blazing. No, David. This is not interpretation. This is evidence. The children have witnessed it. You've manipulated conversations, hidden facts, and controlled narratives. And now it ends. Kody leans forward, exhaling slowly. He's caught in the middle, torn between loyalty and reality. Robyn shifts beside him, quiet, tension written across her face. Christine's husband watches keenly, eyes narrow, recognizing the potential fallout. The judge finally interrupts. Enough. We will continue with testimony, and I expect decorum. But it is clear that serious allegations have been made, and the evidence presented cannot be ignored. We will call the next witness. Another child is summoned, this one younger and more hesitant. Their small voice shakes as they speak. I felt like I couldn't say anything. I was scared. David told me I'd get in trouble if I spoke out. I didn't want to lie, but I didn't know how to be honest. Janelle steps closer, gently resting a hand on the child's shoulder. It's okay, she whispers, voice firm yet tender. You're safe here. Just tell the truth. The room is silent, save for the child's soft words and the occasional shuffle of papers. The reality of the manipulation is sinking in. David's confident facade is slipping with every statement, every revealed email, every whispered secret laid bare in front of the judge and the family. The tension is palpable, almost suffocating, as the first wave of testimonies concludes. But everyone knows this is only the beginning. The judge pauses, looking around the room. We will take a short recess before proceeding to further financial evidence. But let it be clear, these allegations are serious, and we will not dismiss any witness or evidence. Janelle sits back, breathing heavily, heart racing. She glances at her children, whose faces are pale but resolute. Christine squeezes her hand in quiet solidarity. David sits rigid, jaw clenched, eyes darting around nervously. Even as the recess begins, whispers fill the courtroom. Family members discuss quietly, exchanging worried glances and tentative questions. Everyone senses that nothing will ever be the same after this day. The courtroom reconvenes after a tense recess. The air is heavier now, thicker with anticipation. Sunlight still filters through the windows, but it feels almost oppressive, casting a stark contrast between the polished courtroom and the storm brewing within it. Every chair is filled, every eye fixed on the proceedings, and every breath seems to carry the weight of unspoken truths. Janelle rises first, moving to the center of the room with a quiet determination. She carries nothing now but the weight of what she knows, what she has felt for months. The children, seated in the front row, watch her with cautious eyes. They are ready, if terrified, to finally speak their truths. The judge calls the next witness, one of the younger children. Their small frame trembles as they step forward, hands clasped tightly, voice barely above a whisper. I remember David telling me that Mom was wrong about things, that I shouldn't trust what she said, that if I listened to her, it would cause trouble. The room holds its breath. Kody shifts in his seat. Robyn looks away, visibly uncomfortable. Christine leans forward, listening intently. Each word lands like a hammer, echoing through the courtroom, reverberating through every family member present. The children's voices, small yet powerful, begin to dismantle the careful facade David has maintained for so long. The older child takes the stand next. Their voice is steadier, but their eyes glisten with unshed tears. He told us how to answer questions about the family, what to say, what not to say. If we didn't follow his instructions, he would get angry. Sometimes I thought he didn't care about how we felt, only about what we said in front of others. David sits rigid, jaw clenched, staring straight ahead. The confident calm he usually carries is gone, replaced by a tension that tightens with every statement. He glances at Kody and Robyn, searching for support, but the room is too focused on the unfolding testimonies to offer any reprieve. Janelle steps closer, her voice calm but unwavering. It's okay. You're telling the truth. No one is going to hurt you for speaking now. Her words are gentle, but their weight carries conviction, offering a lifeline of safety to the children. The courtroom is silent except for the child's quiet words. Each statement, each hesitant pause, chips away at the controlled narrative David has maintained for years. Every family member is absorbing the gravity of what's being revealed. For the first time, the children's experiences are given weight, authority, and a voice. A voice David cannot ignore or control. The judge pauses, motioning for the next piece of evidence. The court clerk brings forward a series of letters and emails. Old messages between David and various family members, written over several years. Some are casual on the surface, but beneath the words lies subtle manipulation, gaslighting, and strategic control. Janelle steps forward, opening a letter to read aloud. This one, she says, her voice steady but firm, shows David instructing one of the children to say certain things about me to others, to change the story in his favor. He's been rewriting history behind the scenes for years, and these letters are proof. A hush falls over the courtroom. Every eye scans the page, absorbing the content. Christine's husband leans back slightly, recognizing the significance of the revelation, while Robyn's hands tighten around the armrest. Her knuckles white. Kody exhales slowly, tension radiating from every muscle. The letters are damning, the evidence undeniable, and the tension in the room escalates to a near breaking point. The next witness is called, a teenage child who has been silent until now. Their posture is stiff, and their voice is barely audible at first. I didn't want to say anything before. I was scared. I thought if I told the truth, it would make things worse. But now I have to. They take a deep breath, eyes locked on Janelle for reassurance. David told me that if I listened to Mom, I would be punished. That if I spoke out in front of family or friends, it would be used against him. He wanted to control what I thought, what I said, even how I felt. The words hit like a shockwave. Kody flinches slightly. Robyn's lips part in disbelief. And even Christine's composed expression falters as the weight of the child's confession settles. David's face flushes red, and for the first time, he looks cornered, exposed. The emotional impact is overwhelming, not just for the family, but for everyone watching. Janelle steps back, breathing heavily, the folder of evidence still clutched tightly to her chest. This is why I had to speak up, she says, voice breaking slightly. Not just for me, but for the children. They deserve the truth, and they deserve to be heard. The courtroom remains silent. The gravity of the situation is almost palpable. Every family member is processing the testimonies, the emails, the letters, everything that has been hidden, now fully visible. David finally speaks, his voice tight, almost unrecognizable. This is being twisted. I was trying to protect the family. I never wanted to hurt anyone. Janelle's eyes flash with anger and pain. Protect the family? By controlling them? By silencing them? By rewriting our history? The judge raises a hand, calling for order. This court will remain professional. Emotions are high, but we must proceed with the next witness. The next testimony comes from a close friend of the family who has witnessed interactions over the years. Their account corroborates the children's statements, revealing subtle manipulations, selective omissions, and moments where David steered conversations for his own benefit. Every word adds weight to the evidence, tightening the noose around David's credibility. Each revelation builds tension, exposing not just David's actions, but the emotional turmoil inflicted on the family. As the session continues, the judge orders a short recess. The family leaves the courtroom, murmuring quietly. Janelle stands outside, hands gripping the folder, heart pounding. Christine approaches, whispering, "You're holding the family together, Janelle. Don't let this break you." David exits last, face pale, eyes flicking nervously at the courthouse steps. For the first time, his composed mask has cracked. The evidence, the testimonies, the unwavering courage of the children, all have exposed him in ways he cannot deny. The courtroom feels heavier today. The sunlight streaming through the windows is muted, casting long shadows that seem to stretch over every witness, every family member, and every unspoken secret. The air is tense, almost suffocating, as if even the walls are holding their breath. Janelle enters first, walking steadily to the front with the thick folder of evidence she has carried like armor. Her expression is unreadable at first, but there's fire in her eyes. A determination forged from months of witnessing manipulation and silence. She places the folder on the bench and faces the courtroom, taking in the mixture of anticipation, fear, and barely contained tension in the room. The judge calls for order. We will proceed with the next phase of testimonies. Each statement will be heard carefully, and any relevant evidence will be presented. David shifts in his seat. His face is pale, jaw tight, hands fidgeting. The calm, controlled persona he has always projected is beginning to unravel. Robyn sits beside him, biting her lip, trying to hide her unease. Kody leans back in his chair, a subtle tension in his shoulders, silently observing the storm about to hit. The first witness is a family friend who has quietly observed interactions over the past several years. "I noticed how David would direct conversations," the witness begins. "He would ask the children to say specific things about certain family members or withhold information. At first, I thought it was joking, but it became clear it was intentional." Janelle leans forward, voice firm. "Intentional. That's exactly what it was. For years, he's been manipulating our family, shaping narratives, silencing voices. The courtroom is on edge. Every word, every statement increasing the tension with almost unbearable weight." The judge nods, taking notes. He gestures for the clerk to bring the next piece of evidence, a series of financial documents that reveal a pattern of control and secrecy. Janelle opens the folder, pointing to transactions that were redirected without explanation. "These documents show control, not management," she says. "Every dollar, every decision was influenced by him to maintain power over the family." David's hands tighten into fists. His face flushes red. "This is not true. I manage the family's finances responsibly," he protests. "I did what I thought was best." But the judge is unyielding. "We will let the evidence speak for itself. All parties are expected to remain respectful." Next, the children are called back to testify. Their eyes are wide, some still glistening with tears. The older one stands first, voice trembling but resolute. "He told us to lie to protect him," the child says. "I didn't want to, but I was scared. I felt trapped." The room falls silent. Robyn's hand flies to her mouth, Kody shifts uneasily, and even Christine leans forward, jaw tight, absorbing the weight of the confession. David's face is ashen. His lips quiver slightly, a crack forming in his composed exterior. The tension in the courtroom reaches its peak. It feels like the air itself is holding its breath, waiting for the next revelation. Janelle steps forward, gently placing a hand on the child's shoulder. "It's okay," she whispers. "You are safe. You are telling the truth now, and that's all that matters." The next piece of evidence is shocking. A video recording captured by one of the older children, secretly made during a family meeting. On the footage, David is seen coaching several family members, instructing them on what to say, how to act, and what stories to tell outsiders. Gasps ripple across the courtroom. Kody shifts, Robyn turns away, and David's face drains of color. "That's edited. It's taken out of context," he stammers. Janelle holds up her hand, her expression unwavering. "No, this is exactly what happened. The truth doesn't need context. The truth is what you see and hear. You've controlled narratives for too long, David. And now, everyone knows." The judge motions for the video to be played in full. Every family member watches, some leaning forward in disbelief, others covering their mouths to stifle gasps. Each frame of the recording exposes manipulation and coercion, leaving no room for denial. The courtroom tension escalates to near chaos. The once invisible strings of control David held over the family are now clearly visible to everyone. David rises abruptly, voice loud and trembling. "You have no idea what you're claiming. This is an attack, a setup. You're all twisting everything I've done to protect the family." Janelle steps closer, calm but unwavering. Protect the family? By silencing voices, rewriting history, and manipulating the children? That is not protection. That is control. That is what you've done for years? Kody leans forward, his expression unreadable, eyes flicking between David and the evidence displayed on the screen. Robyn shifts in her seat, swallowing hard, sensing the full weight of the situation crashing down. The judge calls for order, voice cutting through the tension. This court has heard compelling evidence of alleged manipulation and control. We will now hear from witnesses who can corroborate the children's testimonies. The next witness is a former family assistant who has worked closely with David over several years. Their testimony confirms the manipulation. Instructions given privately, events orchestrated behind the scenes, and subtle coercion meant to ensure compliance from every family member. Each revelation layers upon the last, creating an intricate web of proof. Every statement, every piece of evidence tightens the noose around David's credibility, and the emotional weight of the situation is crushing. Janelle, standing firm, addresses the court. "It's not just about what he's done to me. It's about what he's done to the children." Every email, every letter, every directive shows the same pattern. Control, fear, silence, manipulation. David sits down, head in hands, visibly shaken. Robyn glances at him, her hand covering her mouth, tears welling. Kody remains silent, processing the storm that has engulfed them all. The session reaches a dramatic climax when one of the older children stands, voice strong but trembling. "I used to admire him," the child says, eyes locked on David. "I thought he knew best, but now I see he's been controlling everything. And I can't let that continue. Not anymore." The courtroom is silent, every eye fixed on David. His face is pale, a mixture of fear and disbelief. The judge leans forward, expression grim, recognizing the gravity of the situation. The courtroom is nearly silent as the morning light pours through the high windows. Shadows stretch across the polished floorboards, adding a dramatic gravity to the already tense atmosphere. Every seat is filled, every gaze locked on the unfolding drama. The air feels electric, charged with anticipation, fear, and the raw intensity of unspoken truths. Finally surfacing. Janelle steps forward, her posture upright, her hands resting on the thick folder of evidence she has carried through the trial. Her eyes scan the room, taking in the faces of her children, Kody, Robyn, Christine, and David. The tension is palpable, almost suffocating. She draws a deep breath. Today is not just about exposing manipulation, it is about demanding accountability. The judge signals for order. "We will continue with testimony. All parties are reminded to remain professional." His eyes flick to David, whose usually composed demeanor is now visibly fraying. Robyn squeezes Kody's hand lightly, a silent plea for stability, while Christine leans forward, face a mask of focus and anticipation. The first witness today is one of the older children who has previously testified, but today they bring new information. Evidence they collected secretly. The courtroom leans in as the child places a USB drive on the bench. I recorded conversations, they say softly, where David instructed others on what to say in interviews, how to answer questions, and what stories to tell outsiders. I never wanted anyone to see it, but they need to know the truth. Gasps ripple through the room. Kody leans forward, tension etched into every line of his body. Robyn covers her mouth, eyes wide with shock. David's face pales, a bead of sweat forming at his temple. For the first time, it seems the walls of control he built are crumbling. The courtroom holds its collective breath. The tension is almost unbearable as the first clip is loaded. The video plays, showing David speaking in calm, measured tones, coaching his children and other family members, instructing them to bend narratives in his favor, to hide certain truths, and to portray events as he wished. The evidence is clear, undeniable. Every word, every gesture, every subtle command paints a portrait of calculated manipulation. Janelle steps closer to the bench, voice trembling slightly, but firm. This is what I've been saying for months. He's been controlling our family for years, not protecting us, controlling us. David stands abruptly. This is a setup. You're twisting what I've said. This isn't manipulation. His voice rises, shaking with desperation. Kody shifts in his seat, uneasy at the intensity. Robyn's hands shake, and she looks down, avoiding eye contact. Christine rises, voice calm but firm. Your Honor, the recordings are authentic. We can verify the dates and voices. This is a clear pattern of manipulation, not isolated incidents. The judge nods, expression grave. We will allow the evidence. All parties are expected to remain calm and professional. The next witness is a longtime family friend who has observed David over the years. Their testimony corroborates the recordings, detailing instances where David guided conversations, rewrote events, and subtly influenced decisions to maintain control. Each revelation layers onto the next, creating an undeniable narrative of coercion and manipulation. Every word, every piece of evidence tightens the tension. The courtroom feels as if it could break under the weight of the truth. Then, the unthinkable happens. A court clerk approaches Janelle and whispers something. She glances down at the note, eyes widening, her hand trembles slightly as she looks back at the judge. Your Honor, she says, voice steady despite the shock. There's another folder that was delivered anonymously. It contains correspondence between David and a third party regarding family finances and personal decisions. Correspondence that even the children weren't aware of. Murmurs ripple through the courtroom. David's face drains of color. He rises, lips quivering. What is this? Who gave this? The judge motions for the clerk to bring the folder forward. Janelle opens it carefully, revealing letters, emails, and documents that indicate a long history of secret financial manipulation and decision-making done without the knowledge or consent of the family. There are instructions to certain family members on what to disclose publicly and privately, alongside notes about maintaining control over family narratives. Kody leans forward, his jaw tight, eyes scanning the documents. Robyn covers her mouth with her hand, silent and trembling. Christine's husband steps closer, face pale, realizing the depth of deception. One letter catches everyone's attention. In it, David details plans to influence decisions about property, media appearances, and family storytelling, all without consulting those affected. These are my instructions, the letter reads, to ensure the family presents a unified front and follows my guidance. Any deviation must be corrected immediately. The evidence hits like a bombshell. Every hidden action, every manipulation now laid bare. The judge looks over the folder, expression grim. This court has now received substantial evidence of alleged manipulation, control, and financial secrecy. We will proceed carefully, but it is clear that significant questions need answers. Janelle exhales slowly, a mix of relief and lingering anger washing over her. This is why I've been fighting for the children, for the truth. They deserve to see what has been happening all along. David sits down heavily, shoulders slumping, his usual composure shattered. Robyn leans into Kody, her face pale and tense. Kody remains quiet, watching, processing the storm that has engulfed the family. And then, the final twist of the day, one of the older children steps forward, holding a folder tightly against their chest. There's more, they say softly, voice trembling. I found notes that show David has been instructing not only the family, but others outside, media, friends, even distant relatives, to manipulate the family story. I think he's been planning this for years. Gasps erupt. David freezes. Kody and Robyn exchange horrified looks. Christine leans forward, jaw tight, absorbing the gravity of the revelation. The judge leans back, steepling his fingers, realizing the enormity of the situation. The courtroom is silent, tension nearly unbearable. One shocking twist after another has dismantled the carefully constructed facade of control. The family is on the brink of total upheaval. As the session ends, the children leave the stand, glances toward Janelle filled with both relief and fear. Janelle gathers her folder, looking at the courtroom one last time before the recess. The truth is out, she whispers under her breath. And it's only going to get harder for him from here. The judge calls a recess, and whispers fill the room as everyone absorbs the revelations. Outside the courtroom, family members huddle, exchanging tense glances and quiet speculation. David remains seated, pale and silent, the weight of exposure pressing down on him like a physical force. The courtroom is tense as the session begins. The morning sunlight barely penetrates the high windows, casting shadows that stretch like silent witnesses over everyone in the room. The air feels charged. Every breath carries the weight of unspoken truths, grudges, and anticipation. Family members shuffle into their seats with a mixture of anxiety and determination. Kody sits in the center, jaw tight, his hands clasped as if bracing for the storm that's about to hit. Robyn sits close, her hands trembling slightly as she stares straight ahead. Christine leans forward, face a mask of composure, while Janelle walks calmly to the front, folder in hand, ready to deliver the next wave of revelations. The judge clears his throat. We will proceed with additional testimonies and review the remaining evidence. All parties are reminded to maintain order and decorum. His eyes flick to David, who now sits rigid, face pale, trying to gather composure. The confident man who once orchestrated family narratives is now visibly strained, the weight of exposure pressing heavily upon him. The first witness is an older child, whose previous testimonies shook the courtroom. They now present a new batch of documents, texts, social media messages, and handwritten notes that David sent over the years, coaching family members on how to present stories publicly and privately. Each piece of evidence is meticulously dated and corroborates previous accounts of manipulation. This isn't speculation, Janelle says firmly. This is a pattern. He's been controlling how our family speaks, how we're perceived, even what we feel we can say. And the children have lived it. The room is silent, the weight of truth settling like a stone in everyone's chest. David finally speaks, voice tight, trying to regain authority. You're misrepresenting everything. I was protecting the family. I've always acted in their best interest. His words echo, but no one is convinced. Kody shifts, glancing at him sharply. Robyn bites her lip, avoiding eye contact, while Christine leans forward, keenly observing the unraveling. The judge gestures for the next witness, a family friend who corroborates the children's statements. Their testimony paints a vivid picture of how David guided behavior subtly, influencing conversations and planting seeds of doubt in the minds of family members. Each statement adds layers of credibility to Janelle's case. The tension escalates as the courtroom views more evidence. A series of emails between David and external contacts discussing financial decisions, property plans, and strategies for controlling media narratives. The judge leans forward, eyes scanning every page, noting the intricate web of control laid bare before him. Every document, every testimony, deepens the sense of betrayal and heightens the stakes for everyone in the room. Janelle addresses the court, voice steady but emotional. This is not just about what he's done to me. It's about what he's done to the children, to the family, and to the truth. The manipulations, the secrecy, the control, it all comes down to one person deciding what everyone else can see, say, and feel. David slumps slightly, visibly shaken. Robyn presses a hand to her mouth, eyes wide. Kody remains motionless, expression unreadable but tense. Christine's husband leans forward, whispering to her. Their shared understanding of the evidence's weight reflected in their faces. The judge pauses, looking over the latest submissions. The court recognizes the seriousness of these allegations. We will now hear a final set of witnesses who can provide critical insight into the financial manipulations and personal directives David issued over the years. The first of these final witnesses is a distant relative who has been in communication with David over the years. They testified to being instructed on what to say to other family members, the language to use in public, and how to maintain appearances. The testimony is precise, corroborated by emails and messages that have been presented as evidence. The courtroom feels like it's on the verge of collapse under the weight of truth, each revelation increasing tension and emotional stakes. The children are called back for a final statement. Their voices, stronger now, convey both pain and courage. We've been living in a world where we couldn't speak freely, one child says, eyes locked on David. He made sure we were scared, confused, and silenced. But today, we're speaking, and we won't be silenced anymore. David rises, desperation creeping into his tone. This is unfair. You're all misunderstanding. I've only wanted to protect you. His voice cracks as the tension reaches a fever pitch. Janelle steps forward, voice calm but commanding. Protection isn't control. Guidance isn't manipulation. What you've done, what you've hidden, has hurt the family. It ends here. The judge nods gravely. The court has now reviewed extensive evidence and testimony. The manipulation, both emotional and financial, is significant. We will adjourn briefly before addressing final proceedings and recommendations.